I like to think of myself as a curious and passionate person. Those are kind of prerequisites for the job. So when I find other people out in the world who are also curious and passionate people who are doing something really interesting, those are the kinds of people I like to do stories on.
There's a lot of work that goes into research of freedom colonies. Here's a starting point for me every morning at about 6:30.
Gloria Smith is a person who's very enthusiastic about everything. Gloria grew up in Fort Worth, and during the summer when she was a kid, a lot of her friends would go away for summer vacation, and they would go down home.
I asked my mother one year when I was in elementary, hey, can I go down home for the summer? And she said, well, we don't really have a down home to go to. So I was always curious as to who are my mother's family? Who are the Duffys?
And so Gloria started doing research, Ancestry.com, going to the library, and she eventually found that her great-great-grandfather, George Duffy, had been a former slave in Burleson County, Texas. She'd never even heard of Burleson County. She spent the day with her husband searching through the archives there, and she found this affidavit, and it blew her mind.
Bam! There's my mother's name, Dorothy Lachey. There's her brother. There's her sister. You know, there's her son, Haywood Duffy Jr. So I knew then I had finally, in the spring of 2016, I found my roots. I discovered my roots.
I'm Michael Hall, a staff writer at Texas Monthly, and I wrote a story for the magazine called Gloria Smith Goes Down Home. So this led her to a tiny town called Tunis in Burleson County. It's a town that used to be known as Old Bethlehem, but there was really no there. There was little evidence of George Duffy. The only thing that was really around there of any kind of consequence was this old church. It was this beautiful old clapboard white church, clearly an African-American church. It was in an African-American neighborhood. And there'd been recently a really big storm that had blown through, and it caved in the roof onto the church. Gloria started to notice this pattern. There were all these old communities, like Old Bethlehem and Dabney Hill.
So I was Googling, and I can't remember what keyword I Googled, but I found out about Dr. Andrea Roberts at the Texas Freedom Colonies Project. And that's when my eyes were open. She made it clear and plain to me that Dabney Hill is a freedom colony.
How's that? Check. I talked to Dr. Roberts, and she is amazing. What are freedom colonies?
They're one of many names given to intentionally created free Black communities. Generally between 1865 and 1930, they were anchored by a school or a church.
There were hundreds of thousands of African Americans in Texas after the Civil War, and all of a sudden they were free. They created intentional communities to protect themselves, to give them places where they could raise their families, educate their children, and build up communities in ways that white folks had always taken for granted they could do.
I live in the city. I never went down home, so I didn't know what a down home was. A down home is a freedom colony. That's what a down home is. For a builder to be able to stand that long and to still be standing up, there is purpose for it.
And so Gloria became determined to help save this church. Gloria didn't know anything about writing up grants or going to preservation groups. She's learning as she goes. She's researching, she's traveling, she's making phone calls, she's writing. She's doing all of this on the fly, and she knows if she doesn't do it right, Dabney Hill's going to disappear.
So we're talking about one of the fastest growing states in the Union, right? And more people keep coming. So with growth comes development.
There's the church, which is caved in, but it's still there. There is this sense of community there. But there is also developments that are on the way to Dabney Hill. They could cover over this freedom colony if she doesn't get to work.
It's kind of like these guys are telling you, hey, can you kind of keep going what we started, you know? And so you just feel that connection.
So Gloria, working with Texas A&M, wrote a grant application from the Texas Historical Commission to save the church. And they got it. But then another storm hit Burleson County, and this time took the whole church down. Because the church had lost its structural integrity, they were no longer eligible for the grant.
Every year, they come back every year and celebrate. That's what happens in the Freedom Colony. They come back. They reminisce, they tell stories, they eat, they have church and worship. But when you don't have the church there, you know, that is kind of the unifying element there. When the church fell, the population in Dabney Hill fell as well.
I just feel like the community is slowly dying. As you can see down the road, there's no one living back this way. It's just like the community is slowly dying along with the church, and we like to bring it back, bring the community back.
Freedom colonies had a hard enough time just existing in the modern world. But when the last structures were gone, there's not much to keep people there. This was going to be the end of Dabney Hill.
There will be many instances where you want to stop, but you can't let that define who you are. You have to have that goal in your gut when you start, and you got to complete it. I've had those points in my life where I've been doubtful, or is this what I should do? Are there better things to do? But I always find myself back in this chair in front of this laptop doing exactly what I set out to do.
During this whole time, there'd been another structure, another building, hidden back behind the church. It was covered up by brush and ivy and had wasps' nests in it. But this other building wasn't just any building. It was actually a Masonic lodge.
Historically, the men that were members of the church were also members of the lodge. Once we lost funding on the church, Texas Historical Commission recommended that we focus on rehabilitating the lodge.
So she applied for a new grant from Preservation Texas. It would be $75,000, and it would help preserve the lodge. Gloria's optimistic she's going to get the funds, and knowing Gloria, she's going to make this happen.
I'm Donna Carter. I am the owner of Carter Design Associates. I've been working on providing architectural restoration information about the Dabney Hill Masonic Lodge.
A community center, a museum, some type of income-producing institution. They can also definitely have church.
It looks like the lodge might serve as an actual community center for the people who live in the area. So one of the really great parts of this story is that Gloria Smith from Fort Worth, Texas, who'd never even heard of Burleson County before, now through her searching for her roots, she not only found her roots, she's helping preserve this freedom colony. in a way that she never could have anticipated.